Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, February 17th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. A lot to recap, actually, including the winners and whiners video, which I ended up doing yesterday. Overall, we ended up going 3-2 for plus zero point 0.6 units. Specifically with regard to the StatSol channel, we lost the play of the day yesterday with Giannis Antetokounmpo over 25.5 points at plus 105 on FanDuel. He ended up with 25, so he lost by half a point, and he went 0 for 2 from the foul line. So that's definitely kind of an upsetting loss there. But we ended up picking up a win on one of the look-ahead lines that we gave out earlier with the XFL, as we gave out the Dallas Renegades -4. That one ended up closing at roughly 6.5, so we definitely got a lot of value on that line, and that ended up paying off as Dallas ended up winning. I believe I forgot what the exact score was, but I want to say that they won by 7, I think. Might have been more, might have been less. I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm actually going to look that up right now. I know they definitely covered, but overall, definitely a decent day. Yeah, they won by 7. Definitely a decent day. Lost a little bit of units on this channel, but we ended up making overall, including the winners and whiners, so it could have been a lot worse. Now, for today's card, really just nothing. It's one of the worst cards of the year in terms of basketball season, because you have no NBA due to the All-Star break, and you also have just really, really underwhelming matchups in college basketball. You have one high-profile matchup between Kansas and Iowa State, but Iowa State stinks because their best player got injured, and Kansas is favored by 16, so that doesn't really, show that it should be a good matchup. You have Xavier St. John's, which should be interesting, but I'm not really interested in that game from a betting perspective. But there is one game that I do like in particular that I think does possess some value, and we will be giving that out for play of the day. And we'll be on a matchup between Coppin State and Norfolk State, and we like the home team here with Norfolk State -9, and that line is available on Fox Bet at -110. Couple of reasons why we like this matchup. That game should be taking place at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I know that it's not the sexiest matchup alive when you're talking about a matchup in the MEAC, but if you really just look at today's card, it's really just not a good card, and there's also value on it, so I don't think it really matters what conference you're playing in. It might be ugly basketball to actually watch if you can find a stream on somewhere online, because it's definitely not on television. But for the breakdown of these two teams, Coppin State has been awful this season as they are 8-19 overall, and they are 4-8 in conference play, whereas Norfolk State is 12-13 overall, not great, but they are also 8-2 in conference play, which is tied for the best record in the entire conference. These two teams actually did play each other a couple of weeks ago at Coppin State, and Norfolk State was able to win on the road by 23 points. So they won in blowout fashion. They won 82-59, and they've also played pretty good basketball lately as they've won each of their last 2 games. Meanwhile, Coppin State has been struggling a bit lately as they have lost 2 of their last 3. And if you've looked at Coppin State on the road this season, they have been pretty underwhelming as they are 4-14 on the road, where Norfolk State is 9-2 at home straight up. I know the spread's 9. It seems a bit high. You win by 21 on the road. I think you should be able to win by at least 10 at home. Plus, Norfolk State, even though their record is 12-13 overall, if you actually pay attention to the conference standings in the MEAC with overall records, no team as of right now is over 500 in the entire conference. The best record is currently possessed by North Carolina Central, and they are 12-12. Every other team is below 500. Makes sense because of the fact that most teams tend to just play buyout games with Kentucky and all these other high-profile teams because they get paid to get their asses kicked. But against each other in conference play, Norfolk State has definitely looked like one of the best teams in the conference, and I think Coppin State should end up struggling against one of the best teams in the conference. Norfolk State is averaging roughly 3 more points per game. They're giving up roughly 10 fewer points per game. Coppin State's only shooting roughly 39% from the floor. This team can't really score at all, and I think Norfolk State should be able to limit Coppin State to around 60 points while being able to put up at least 70 of their own. So, for that reason, I think there's value here. This line has already climbed up. It was at 8. It's already up to 9. Decent amount of juice already on FanDuel. At time of recording, it was at -110, already up to -115. Fox Bet has not moved, though, for -110, and neither has DraftKings. But I think that line should close closer to 10 or 10.5. And for that reason, play of the day for Monday, February 17th will be on Norfolk State -9, and that line is available on Fox Bet at -110. Now, looking at some of the other matchups on today's card, I already alluded to the Kansas-Iowa State game. I'm going to lean to Kansas. I know the spread's huge for a conference game, but there's really just no way that I could look at Iowa State and provide a reason on why I think they should keep this game competitive. Iowa State had a very solid player in Halliburton, but he's out for the year, and he is leading the team in points, assists, and he's going to be a top 5 pick in the upcoming NBA draft according to projections. And Iowa State overall is 11-14 with him playing the majority of those games. He's also the leading rebounder, so yeah, Iowa State already got smacked by Kansas with Halliburton playing in the first matchup, as Kansas won at Iowa State by 26 points. Now they're playing at Kansas, and they're missing their best player. I think this will get ugly. Lean to Kansas there, as I think they should win that game by about 20. Other than that, looking at the other matchups, I'm going to lean to Bucknell over Holy Cross. Bucknell minus 6.5. I know Holy Cross is the home team, and I know Bucknell has been absolutely abysmal away from home, but Holy Cross is one of the worst teams in all of D1 in basketball. Bucknell's 10-17, which is awful, but Holy Cross is 3-24. So I have no interest in backing Holy Cross there. I think Bucknell should win. Lean to Bucknell on that one. And lastly, for my leans, I will lean to Notre Dame minus a 3.5 against North Carolina. I root for North Carolina. I said earlier this year they wouldn't make the tournament, and this team is atrocious. They're not even going to make the CIT or the CBI. This team's 10-15, and they're absolutely terrible. And Notre Dame, even though they are 15-10 and they are on the bubble, they are still 12-3 at home. I think North Carolina will be overwhelmed here. I trust Breen in the spot to come up with a good game plan to stop North Carolina. Cole Anthony's shot's been off ever since he came back from injury. And other than that, you have Brooks, who's pretty solid, and Bakat, who's okay. But overall, no real talent on North Carolina. I think Mooney should have a decent game. Lean to Notre Dame minus a 3.5. I think they'll win that game by around 6. But the play of the day, once again, will be a Norfolk State minus 9. And that line is available on Fox Bet at minus 110. That's going to be the installment of Scott's Selections here for Monday, February 17th. Good luck to all of you and your respective bets today. Bye, everyone.